Moors, and welcome to House of Reawakening Minds. And let us welcome our sister Rahsmariah V Bey. Come on, let's receive her.
To the mic. Islam, thank you, peace and love. I'm glad to be here again. Also, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's the new year.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you noticed that it snowed, right?
Yes.
So I was telling people on our Wednesday class that when the spring comes in like that with snow, because now remember that in the wintertime all of the seeds in the earth are being fertilized. Right? And the Pisces particularly shows where the waters of Pisces fertilizes, and then out comes the new growth in Aries, right? So the same thing with the womb, because Pisces represents the womb of a new child coming out. Once the waters rise to a certain level, then, the waters burst and out comes a new birth. So or new growth, new birth. But when it snows like that, that's a lot of water, and that means a lot of cleansing. And although it seems like, oh my goodness, it's spring and why is it snowing? Actually, it means some serious cleansing. So that means that a lot of the thoughts that you have, they're coming out too. And even though they're your thoughts, you manifest them. And so, as you know, life is about cause and effect and polarities. So, some of those things that have been going on with bad people or slandering and all that stuff, well, that's coming back on them very quickly too, right? Now, I'm not here for that, but in fact, there was a situation where, we just found out that one of the people that's on the site that's pulling people into conference calls all the time, and then when you call in, they always say how much they dislike RV Bey, and they dislike Taj, like they hate Taj and they hate RV Bey, as if somebody did something personal to them. Mm-hmm. Well, what happened is, and I'm not going to go into all of that, but just that, but what happened is it came out, someone decided, with all the chaos that they caused and stuff like that, and the slander, that they would do a background check on them. And it comes to find out, it's very, very bad, but they are supposed to be taking medication. Now, no, they really are. They're very a nuisance and all of that. You have to read it on your own. I'll give you a link to it later. I'm not going to discuss it right here. Yeah, no, I'm saying they're mentally challenged. Although they figured out certain information, you know what I'm saying? You can train anybody to do anything. But what it indicates for us, what it indicates for the people who follow, right, is that our people will follow anybody. Our people will, rather than study for themselves and check things out, and it's a serious situation for us, and part of the reason why we don't seem to receive information and then effectuate it, factual as it is because, as soon as another bell rings somewhere else, we run to that, which means there's no solid rock of foundation in our thoughts and our being and in our doing. So if you're not on a solid rock or foundation on whatever it is you're involved in, then naturally you are going to, when the bell rings over there, you're going to run to it. And start sticking to, the foundational matters and sticking on a foundation and moving from there, thereby being able to measure when something is not correct. You have a measuring stick based on your foundation of sure information. Do you follow what I'm saying? And because we lack that, then we always run to whatever. So I trust tonight I'm going to show you a simplistic, as a matter of fact, it kind of goes in line with anything I think that anyone who's trying to share truthful information to uplift fallen humanity, it goes along with anyone who's trying to do that, because really they're just giving you truth and giving you the facts about the truth, right? So it goes along with that, because one of the things is this. Oh boy. I'm sorry, this is in the wrong mood. Here we go. One of the things is this. Last time I was here, part one on this, I showed you where the United States of America was a corporation. Did I not?
Yes.
Made it clear, right? Well, I don't even need to cap up on that. That's what it is. So part two, so the one was know who is who, what is what, so that you can take your place amongst the affairs of man. This is part two. Now that you know who is who, look at what is what and become active. All right? So we want to look at the fact that we stopped at the treaty and actually at the Constitution. It was the Constitution. Now, the Constitution came after the treaty, but really it kind of came simultaneously because this whole thing is a process. See, there's a process that happened to bring modern Europeans into the constitutional fold of government. It was a process. And there were certain things they had to do. And as I said last time when they first came to the Continental Congress at Philadelphia, you were like, all right, no problem, but you know, you got to do this, you got to write this Declaration of Independence, etc. So the process is continuing on. After the treaty in 1784, after the treaty was written, it was ratified in 87. But so was the first signing of the Constitution in 84, although we say 87 because it couldn't be released until after the dependent, they couldn't be moved forwarded on. It was the intent is, you know, the treaty and then the Constitution for the law of the land, right? So that could not happen until after the Treaty of Paris of 73 83 that freed and made the companies independent companies, so they couldn't put it out until after that. So it immediately start going with in 87. I'm sorry, in 87, right? They immediately started, or 84, excuse me. The Treaty of Paris that gave them the independence after the 7-Year War was 83. Immediately in 84, we started moving forward with the treaty, the Moroccan Treaty, to protect them on the sea so that they could do commerce, right? And so with that, they could sail the seas without being molested, right? All right, so once the treaty was able to occur, immediately the Constitution was also able to go into its effects, right? Which didn't get totally ratified until 1791, but it was sort of put out there on the shore, or 1787, same year as the treaty. It just wasn't ratified until later. Or 1789, but it really was 1787. All of it is a process. So what you want to look at is when things were ratified, all right? So, with that being said, I basically said that. Let me just cap this up. So after the treaty, or rather summertime. All right, thank you. After the treaty, or rather simultaneously, the supreme law of the land was then established. The Moroccan American National Republic Constitution for all the land and all who occupy, visit, and or domicile upon the land. The land remains as your Moors ancestral estate, national domicile North America. You in South America would be ancestral state, national domicile South America. You in Central America would be ancestral state, national domicile Central America. All right? This is considered as a somewhat final process to bring the modern European companies into the constitutional fold. The rules of engagement are for how the companies / corporations will act in regards to themselves and to the people. No one is to violate the other. So the articles of the Constitution are for the companies and corporations. That's why it says, you know, you can't do this, you can't do this. What you can and you cannot do, right? You've read the Constitution? It's all about what you can do, what you can't do, how you can set it up, and you know, like that. The Bill of Rights secures the unalienable, inalienable rights and liberties of the people. So we're talking about 2 or 3 different things here, right? I mean, we're talking at least about the people, natural people, right?
Right.
And we're talking about companies, correct? And we're talking about how they can act on your land, correct?
Correct.
So you begin to see where your place is in this, don't you? Don't you? Yeah. And enforcing the Constitution so that you're not what? Molested by these other citizens, because those companies and corporations are a corporate citizen. They're citizens. They're subject citizens. You're not. That's the whole reason that the agreement had to be made, to protect your inalienable rights. And they got a law on how that is to happen. You follow? Follow that? Mm-hmm. That's why it's there. Otherwise, so let's show some what we call diversity of citizenship or what have you like that. But if you don't know who you are, how do you know? So let's say this first on the premise, all federal and state. Right there, there's two different things going down, isn't it? All federal and state governments, see, are bound to uphold the American Constitution pursuant to what? Article 6 of the Moroccan American National Constitution of 1791, which is for the United States of America, which is a union operating on your land. You get it? This is all the USA has. Is what we gave them to protect them on the seas and then on the land. Doesn't matter that they're violating it, so are you. Well, let's put it this way, you're not enforcement, so therefore. So now let's get straight so we can go into this and have some validity with it and hopefully have some respect for it. The laws of the United States binds the powers and the functions of the states. Now, are we talking about some combination of, are we talking about some type of relationship here? To be measured by its principles and its articles, and has priority and supremacy, and has priority and supremacy, and has priority and supremacy, and has priority and supremacy to the states. The states must conform to all national purposes and constitutional provisions. So yeah, there exists a state constitution, doesn't it? But does it have supremacy over the Supreme Constitution? But you hear people talking that way. And so we because of lack of knowledge. That's it, and that's all. Well, the Constitution was suspended. What are you talking about? I mean, we just had people who won't even domicile on your ancestral estate put a claim against the president of the U.S.A. for the tribal land. They don't even domicile here, and they know what the law of the land is. We ought to be shamed. Shamed. And we still walking around, looking for this and looking for that and crying and whining. People who don't even necessarily have associations that might be reached here, or they might be from other places, because other people do travel here. They don't travel to the U.S.A. though. Mm-hmm. Do you really think they say that they're traveling to the U.S.A., which is a corporation? No, people who don't, if they were going to what was considered Puerto Rico, which recently was proved that it's a corporation because it went bankrupt, right? Mm-hmm. When they go there, do you think they say they're flying there? Or the people from there say they're flying here? To USA. No, and more no. But it's about language, right? You got to do the etymologies, and it's about language. It's about right words, is it not? Correct. Isn't that what jurisdiction means? Yes. Doesn't juris mean right? And diction means your diction. That's why your mom and your teachers try to teach you to have good diction. Because that's where it's at. What you say. Because man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded from his mouth. So they had us so miseducated along the way that we don't want to talk what we call proper. When we're the ones who's teaching. That's just the sadness on our incompetent feelings of lesser. Because that's how it's set up. Purposely engineered. So with that being said, We want to make a clarity point. No, not yet. I thought I did. Okay, I didn't. So I want to show you the connection here because we said that all states, the laws of the United States binds. And we're dealing with Article 6. So Article 6 proves that to you. It says all debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption, because we showed last week it was adopted. What was adopted? Ancient civilization principles. That's what was adopted. Of civilization and civilization principles. So in a way, the Constitution is a spiritual document. That's why it's 7 articles and 10 Bill of Rights, matching the 7 most influential planets here and the 10 total. But we don't see that because we're not in tune, or we don't have knowledge. See, the most important thing is that it's nothing that's been more important than us having our own schools to educate us. I know myself, and I believe Abdul is in the same place. What do we see for the future? Institutions of learning. Yeah. That's it, that's all. There's nothing else. Because we have surely shown how incompetent and ignorant of not just law, but ignorant, period. And why we get stepped on and taken and molested is because of that. Nothing else and nothing more. And as this turning and churning comes in, those who are making finances buttering their bread off of your ignorance is not going to want to stop doing that. So it's not going to be, listen, many people, and I want to say this, many people are sitting back waiting for, let me see you do it first. Or waiting for something to happen. Right. Waiting for the day when. But guess what? It doesn't work like that. Because when something happens and when the day when shows, when it does come, you won't be prepared. Anyway, because you don't know Jack. Or wish to know Jack. Or want to know Jack. You won't go with it. You still, when the day comes, you still won't be able to be in the ranks. In that respect. Do you follow me? You will still be in the same place you were in before. Change the mic again? Okay. All right. You're still going to be in the same place you are. Not knowing. So what do you mean you're waiting for, right here? Right about here. So what do you, thank you. Good. So what do you mean you're waiting for the day? Waiting to see what happens with someone else. Even when the day comes, and trust and believe this is coming. Because even though this is insidious activity, it's all wrong, it's coming to an end, but you won't be ready. That's why Prophet Noah Geraldine told you, I come to teach you to be yourself, and I've given you enough information to save an entire nation, but I do tell you, you need to save yourself. So even when it happens, you're still not going to know. So stop waiting. And be what? Active. So I'm going to help you be active. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know about the elder people. I'm being one of them, actually. But I do know this is for the young and yet unborn. And that if you really want to help the children, tell them the darn truth. And let them have it. Just tell them the truth. Jeez. Because I know they can handle it. So, Article 6 does this. It says all debts, contracts, and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made, and look, qualified under the authority of the United States shall be the what? Supreme law of the land, and the judges. Now we're going into judicial authority, aren't we? And every state shall be bound thereby. Then anything in the Constitution or the laws of any state that is to the contrary, guess what? It just doesn't have any standing. Because what did we say earlier? It's priority and supreme. Correct? So if the law of the land is supreme, then nothing else can change that. Right? So the above affirms without doubt or contradiction that all public servants of every federal and state government are bound to the American Constitution and therefore, national Constitution that is, and therefore all agencies of said federal and state government must have what? A delegation of authority. Bad word, huh? The entire Constitution is nothing but a large delegation of authority. It delegates authority. Do you get that? That's what it is. That is what it is. It delegates authority. So that people don't walk all over you. It is a huge delegation of authority. Meaning that someone else can do something against you that they don't have a derived authority to do. So if it's not scribed in here, they don't have it. So you got people bragging about, oh, delegation of authority, if you ask for that, you might die or some craziness. That's what this only shows you that we have failed to enforce the law ourselves. All right, so let's make it clarity here now. The Constitution is a huge delegation of authority, and a clarity point must be made. It must be made clear that all corporations are, now didn't we determine that the United States of America is a corporation? Okay, a union, a union of states, right? Yeah. But there's still other states, aren't there? Yeah. They may not be in a union though. That's where you get your several states. Aha, see? Right, we're gonna get to that. So, it must be made clear that all corporations are creatures of a constitution. What's superior on the land again? The law of the land. At Northwest and Mexico, Northwest Africa, North America, here, the North Gate, depending on what studies you use, they'll use the word North Gate, right? They're talking about here. So, at Northwest Africa, that's where you are, Northwest and Mexico, Northwest and Northwest Africa, North America, that's the North Gate. The Constitution that all corporations are a creature of is the American National Constitution, adopted for the United States of America, 1799, which in truth is the Union States of America. We showed that last time. Got it? Got it? Take notes. This is real, but you don't even have to. All you got to do is go read the Constitution. And know that the Bill of Rights preserves you. So, you might say, well, what about their government? Without knowing what government is, first of all, government is a corporation, right? Surely it can be, because many things are governed. Institutions are governed, associations are governed, businesses are governed. So, government represents a governing of a corporation or business or activity, correct? All right. So, what about their government? Let's see. What's that? Administrators have already defined that government succinctly, that define government succinctly. Governments are corporations. Inasmuch as every government is an artificial person, an abstraction, a creature of the mind only. A government can deal only with what? Artificial persons. The imaginary, having no reality or substance, cannot create or attain parity with the real. And you said the real flesh and blood, right? Then you might say, well, what about their state government? Let's see. What about the states? First of all, you got to be clear what state you're talking about. There's a whole lot of states. There's several states. There's union states. Right? Okay, but first of all, any state government that operates is but a trustee with a derived authority. You know where that derived authority comes from, right? Thank you. That's what about their state government. Well, what about the they have no immunity when they are violating a constitutional right from liability, for they are deemed to know the law to daggone self. So that means that any court and officers of the court, they're not immune if they violate the Constitution. Oh, but if you don't enforce it, people, then they don't have to. They can tell you that rain is pissing. That water is pissing. You believe it. That's how that has just happened. Do you understand that? No. We need to really accept that.
Right.
That's what has happened. Just that simple. But what we don't know is that we have a cushion or a handle or a foundation to stand on as we come out of or come into this opening of the mind and opening of the consciousness of this real truth that actually are burning out some people's brains, and some people are losing their mind because they have not stood on the foundation of truth, and they're receiving it now, that light of truth, and they don't know what to do with it. It's destroying them. They don't know the compartment over here where they were supposed to put the truth information in is cluttered with some other stuff. You understand? So, therefore, it causes them to have a little problem. Anyone would have a problem, wouldn't it? Does that make sense? So, I always say have that exorcism so that you can bring in the baptism with the waters of truth, because water represents knowledge. Well, that's where we are. So, we are in a standoff of who knows law and who does not know it, and causes crushed egos, feelings of incompetence, and negative vibrations between each other. All because we don't know the law. That we are the law manifested in flesh, but we don't know that. But we're spiritual, divine beings, and do not know that. That we are the law, length, angle, and width of all the energies manifest in the flesh. That's who you are. And because of that, we got all kinds of feelings of incompetencies and negative vibrations and craziness. Because we're not on the foundation. It's not a membership. It's not nothing you got to subscribe to or anything like that. It just is what it is. And then you do what you want with it after that. So let's continue with, that last one. What about municipalities, right? We talked about states, cities, right? Right? What about municipalities? / police. Because, municipal means police. That's what they are. They say they got government too. Don't they tell you, well, it's the law? They hit you upside the head, shoot you in the head, tell you it's the law, and you believe it? But, that's what they do. So, they say it's the law, they stop you in the street. Now, why do they stop you the most? We have to use logic. Because they set up their municipalities, in every city, close by, and then call it a city with a name, which is really a corporate tag. It's a corporate sales territory. It's not the land. If they're a corporation, then anything they name in is a tag for their sales territory. It has nothing to do with the land. Right? So what about the municipalities? And why you're injured so much by them is because they're always there. They're always nearby, everywhere you go. Because they just erected the building and said, we are. Let's look at that. Let's see, who are they? All right, we're talking about the police, right? Municipalities, right? What's it say?
It's not the duty of the police to protect you. Their job is to protect their corporation and arrest code breakers.
Wow, does it say arrest lawbreakers?
No, code.
It says code breakers. So the duty of the police is to do no, it is not the duty of the police to protect you. So how is it that they had you thinking that? That's some clever thinking and social engineering. Because, yes, it's clever social engineering. And check this out. They started that in grade school with your children. Coming in and saying, yes, call us when you have a problem. And then we worry about the year that generation came where the children were calling diapers on their mamas and their daddies. And we were no longer able to keep our family issues within our family. So now, look, we could have fixed that maybe, right? In the community. We could have fixed it, but we don't want to get involved because, dang, you got the police involved. So now it caused us to separate even more. Do you follow? Like right now. You know, unless you with somebody, you ride or die or whatever, if something happens to them where, you know, you're at their house or you're outside or whatever, and the policy enforcers come up because you know how they work. Because here's how they work. If you call them, you know what they're looking for? You called, please sister, say you called them on him. Just as an example. They're coming in to see if they can get something on both of y'all. How do we extract finance from the one who called and the one they called on? Because you laughing because it's true. You need to wake up, right? It's the truth. That's how it's come to this point. Based on our belief system of bull and not knowing the truth. That's it. So that's all they do. It's like, well, how can we make money on both of them? They crazy. We're buttering our bread behind their ignorance. So how ignorant are they this year? Right. We did a good social engineering because the bottom line is this. And you're not stupid. You're just ignorant. Ignorant means that you just refuse to accept the truth. You do. There's voluntary ignorance and involuntary ignorance. You choose which one it is. Because there is an ignorance, there's involuntary, where you don't know the truth. But we all admit that we don't know the truth. So then when you try to set up, if we don't set up institutions and associations or whatever to tell the truth, then you will remain involuntarily ignorant. But you don't have to be involuntarily ignorant, but that's where we are. So the only thing going down from this point forward is institutions of learning. Like I said, I don't care whether you sit back waiting for the next whatever to happen, you won't enter the door when that thing happens. When it does happen and all this comes to an end, you still ain't entering the door. Because you got to get up on this information and yourself, really it's yourself. So that's what happens when you call them. And generationally, you see it, right? You see it, right? It's worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until you can't breathe. You can't breathe. And you talk about slavery. And then you want to go back to slavery when you forgot that slavery is in the mind. If I just want to be free. Well, I want freedom. It's in the mind first. And if you can't do it in the mind first, then your assets won't follow. For your mind and your assets will follow. It's a fact. So this is where we are because we can't breathe. So we went through all those changes, right? All based on the same thing. So we talked about, so what about the mental health? There it is. They're not there to protect you, so stop calling them. Handle your own business. They're just trying to see how much finance they can make off of it. And by the way, on top of which, and I'm going to really hit this one hard because I told you earlier, they're the ones that's on every corner down there. As much as a church. You can go to a community and what do you have? You have a church everywhere, right? Yeah. You also have a municipality. Wake up. Going out and sending their policy enforcers who are code enforcers, right? Not there to protect you by definition, right? On the street to catch you when you go to the store. Just because they want money, they do not really care about that. So, they're everywhere like churches. Why? Not only are they not there to protect you, which is a case law that says that. A dog? No, they're not there to protect you. They're there to protect corporations and code breakers. You a corporation? Well, stop acting like it then. Because we'll find a code that we can put on you that you broke so that we can find you. And then we'll put you in jail.
Yeah,
and why would we arrest you? even if it's not arrestable, because you think you're a corporation. You want to be. And more so on a spiritual level, because you refuse to honor your mother and father. That's why, for real.
Islam.
For real. This is spiritual. This is divine. Even Prophet Noah Ali said this is divine and national movement. You can't see what the divine is. And I'm showing you where the divine is, because it's the spiritual law can't even really be written, but you can write something in the spirit of divine law. And you don't even know that the law of your land is written in the spirit of divine law. You don't even know it. That's why we got to do some learning, teaching, of just the human soul. And all that's will come. So not only are they not there to protect you, because they are there on the record to protect corporations, correct?
Correct.
Guess what else they are? Do you see what they are? They're Roman venues. So that means that municipality on the corner, on every corner, is a Roman institution. And you wonder where the Roman soldiers went. It's a Roman membership / citizenship. Period. That's what a municipality is. So we're going into this as to why you can see this and go back to the Constitution, take your place in it. So the synopsis is that not only are they corporate employees enforcing corporate codes, not law. You just saw that, didn't you? Okay. They are members of a fraternal brotherhood order called the FOP. Fraternal Order of Police. They're a member of a fraternal order on top of that. And send you something every week or a month or a year to support that. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just telling you, listen, it's about who's who, right? Isn't it? And their citizenship and institutions, which are municipalities, right, are that of a Roman citizen municipal domiciles on the American soil. Do you get that? You got to know who's who, because you think things are what they are not. And that's why we suffer. So what is a municipal domicile in law? I said they're municipal domiciles. And this takes us into our next understanding of who we are and where we got there. Well, first of all, you have a national domicile, right? Now, I had this on a screen with a map, and, it was colorful and all that. And then I thought, because some people say, give them bells and whistles so they can stimulate their brain. I'm like, no, maybe you don't need to. You need to focus on something specific. So I broke it apart. A national domicile. Read what it says. Can you read what it says for a national domicile? Everybody, can they read? Can you say it and read it?
Yes.
Can we read it together? All right. Go ahead.
Domicile of a person
Considered as being within the territory of a particular nation and not with reference to a particular locality or subdivision of a nation. What's the definition of a quasi-national domicile? One sentence. One involving residents in the state, period. So if you tell me you're a national and you reside in the state, you just have the wrong words, meaning you're in the wrong jurisdiction. And then you wonder what's wrong with what's happening. But look at the municipal domicile. This is why I brought it up. The municipal domicile is not the national, nor is it quasi, because it's rogue. That's what Title 18, when 2 or more come on the road, hindering you, accosting you, that's who they are. They're bandits. They're not municipal, they're not national, nor are they state. I'm telling you, that's where they're messing us up. They're soldiers working for corporations. I don't have nothing personal against them. I'm just telling you, you got to know who they are. And stop just because they tell you, we're the law. When the law enforcer gives you a command, you must do it. They're not law enforcers. as if you are when you're not. And so since we do that, they take full advantage, again, of the ignorance, because everybody wants to butter their bread. You get it? And it's been going on for generations and generations and generations. And when someone comes with the truth, nations don't want the truth, so they'll slander and beat you up and all kinds of stuff. But I'm telling this young generation, our efforts at Ordinary Publication, it says right on it, for the rising civics, for the rising generation. So that's who it's to reach, because that's us returned. And I know it can happen, because it has to. And I know it comes through women, the womb. That's why she got to wake up. So there it is. It's saying that a municipal domicile is distinguished from national, from quasi-national, and it has reference only to a resident in a what? A city, a township, or municipality. They don't want to mess with you the most. So, I wanted to show you what the subdivision. What did they say quasi-national domicile was? Subdivisions, right? There they all are. Subdivisions of a nation. There's lines drawn on the national, on the national domicile. Fake boundaries and stuff. Sales territories. And I gave you last week how they all started.
Indeed.
Did I show you how they all started? I got them, I told you I worked with that map. He gave it to me. I drew it up. You know how they started. You know their corporations. And because you and I and our families are so ignorant and don't honor our mothers and fathers, which is what our problem is. And do you think they care as to why you're in that condition? No. Because the purpose is for you to be in that condition. You say the excuses that we may have means nothing. Means nothing.
I'm so sorry.
It's not going to go on. You're either going to be or you're not going to be, and that's it. It's nobody's fault. Not even yours sometimes, but it is your responsibility. Because when we know better, we got to do better. Like I said, stop waiting for it to happen. Stop waiting for the day for it to happen. Because even when it does, your behind won't be ready. So you'll find your place where? Yourself where? Where you can solve your problems fast. I don't know where that will be. So, there's do you understand? The national domicile says one without subdivisions. Do you get that? No subdivisions. So if you're a Moor and you're saying, I'm a national, you cannot say I'm a national, and this is my national domicile with no subdivisions, and then say you're a resident of a quasi-national domicile. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can take mail, care of, always put CL. Care of wherever. You can take mail wherever you want. You can do whatever you want. But you can't make that claim. You can't. Now, that was the whole picture. So, your position is in the jurisdiction of my ancestral estate, national domicile, North America. That's it. That's territorial jurisdiction from the door when you get into lawful matters. One of the things is territorial jurisdiction. All right, so now, the people that listen to this one, this doesn't apply to you, Moors, at all. Because some people say, well, where's our government? Where's our national government? Well, before we do that, the people of the United States that are resident within any state. So if you are resident within any state, you're subject to two governments. One is a state government, and the other is a national. But there's no conflict between the two. Why? Because the state's constitution has to be in harmony with the supreme law of the land, correct? Because if it's not, it has no standing, correct?
Correct.
So now you're thinking in your mind, well, Roger, you just said there's a national government. Where's our national government? Right? That's what you're thinking. probably. Let me tell you. Do not ask, nor look for our government, as it is incorporated in this said government, as this is our government. You need to face up and fess up to your place in it. It's been very difficult to be in our proper place as a person. When I say incorporated, I don't mean 501c, okay? I mean incorporated as the word means, to join something together, all right? Okay? I know there's people who did think when they saw that word incorporated that it meant go down to the city hall, municipality, Roman venue, and get a 501c, right? But it didn't. Or to the state level, quasi-measure. But it never meant that. It's just that people without knowledge thought it meant that. So therefore, you can't tell them that they don't know what they're talking about. Well, the prophet said it's incorporated in this same government. Yeah, but that doesn't mean 501c. Incorporation, it means we incorporate, put something together. You know, I always use that thing. I might incorporate red shoes into my shoe inventory. But I ain't go down and get a 501c to do that. So anyway, continuing with judicial authority. This is where we're at. Still on the Constitution. Sensitive, that's one. What about judicial authority? Article 3, Section 1, judicial authority / diversity of citizenship. And some people don't know what that means. But we already determined that there's different people, right? There's different things going on here, right?
Yes.
We got states, we got several states, right? We got the federal government, we got the state government, right? You even got them dang municipalities stuff from city, township, you understand? You have got to know your place and speak it and be it and stay in it. There is some diversity going on. Somewhere. Diverse stuff. I don't care what's going on. What is the supreme law of the land? The National American National Constitution, correct?
Islam.
Doesn't matter. If Joe Blow company over here makes up whatever, and it goes against it, it doesn't have standing. You don't gotta fight with them about it, but you do know how to know. You do have to know, just like you have to know what diction is, which is right words. You're gonna have to know how to write. You're gonna have to know how to write, because that's another excuse. Our generation of people have gotten to the point where they don't know how to write. They were not taught purposely how to even comprehend reading. That came in, maybe I'm going to say 10 years ago, maybe a little less, because time flies, with whole concept learning. Right over our head, I know. I caught it though. Whole concept learning instead of teaching. Whole concept learning. It was a convoluted way of teaching the children. And this is what you got generations of. So, let's go to what about judicial authority. So the same way that you need to know about, right words, that's what this is. Section 1 of Article 3, Section 1, the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts, that means everything else is inferior, does it not? Is that what it's saying? Okay, all right. As the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. Do you know what that just said? Delegation of authority. You see what I'm saying? The entire Constitution is a delegation of authority.
Islam.
It's right there. And on top of which, if they do get the judicial authority, it could be from time to time, obviously, meaning it's got an expiration date. Meaning, all right, we're going to let you handle this, or a real judge, Article 3 judge, because we don't like to say real judge, there's only one judge. He's a judge or he's not a judge. Otherwise, he's a ministerial or administrative officer, period. All right? So, may come down, and I'm going to show you these court case laws, and sit in a court, because there's a delegation for the court, and an oath of office for the people. They're two different things. So what kind of court am I in? So if a judge comes to sit in a non-delegated, ordained venue, maybe for some special time-to-time reason, then that might be time to time, because otherwise than that, as soon as he sits his hind parts in that in that venue that doesn't have a delegation, he loses all judicial authority. Oh boy, that should wake you up. Because none of these people have judicial authority. Let's find out what's going on, though. Something going on, right? Let's get to the bottom of it. So Section 1 says the judicial power shall be vested in the one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts, that means all the rest are inferiors, as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish delegation of authority, words right there. The judges, both of the Supreme and the inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior. That means they can't be in these courts in the inferior trying to act like they got judicial power. They're not on good behavior if that's who they are. If that's where you are. But you're not. That's why they ignore you. That's why they ignore what's being said. Because they're not courts. And dang, you were just getting the hang of it. You was ready to go in and do the fight thing, right? And they already on their next move. Oh, shoot. The natives are restless. They got it. What we going to do now? Stand mute. Instead of you standing mute, they standing mute. Waiting for you to make your move. You didn't make the move because you don't know what move to make. You was just getting ready to sharpen them. Oh, man. They're ignoring what I said. Well, there's another move after that. Why? If that's the case, they're the defendant now. You need to charge them for impersonating an officer of the court.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the power horse house. Charge them with look, I'm telling you, but you can't do none of this that I'm saying or anyone says until you know the Constitution. If you don't know it, don't try to do jack. Did you hear what I said? And that is what has been happening. And there's this automatic, well, this is the law. Hey, I felt the same way when I first found out. I was like, well, this is the law then, because I was never into any trouble with the law or whatever like that. Not that I had to be or whatever. Tickets or whatever.
Right.
But you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, this is the law? Then good. I'm going to go in there and this is the law. And then you realize, oh, shoot. But they aren't the law. They're going to smack me up in here. They want to take everything I got. They want to suck my blood and my life. And then take my children. Take your husband, your sister, your mother, your daughter, and your dog and your cat. Don't matter. That's what people who are colonists who suck off of other people's resources do. It's in the nature. It's not personal. It's what it is. You just need to know who is who and what is what. And stop acting like it's something that it's not. And then wondering why things aren't going well. But for them, it's been a great rush of confusion and convolution and generational misconduct and deterioration. Yeah, it is. It's the rabbit hole. But it ain't that difficult. It really isn't. So what happens is, and they shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished. All right, so listen to this. Inferior courts, then, they must have a delegation, or maybe they're an administerial court. Duh? What's an administerial court, you may ask? Well, let's see. Ministerial court. Here's what's going on with the ministerial court. Ministerial officers are incompetent to receive grants of judicial power. We're talking about judicial power from the legislator. Their acts in attempting to exercise such powers as if they've got judicial authority are necessarily nullities. Now you may be saying, well, wait a minute, they got a legislative department in the state of New Jersey, and they got a legislative department in the state of Kansas or whatever. That's not the legislator they're talking about. Just like the Constitution, that's not the Constitution. The supreme law of the land is the Constitution, the supreme Constitution. They have to be in harmony with it. So they, all right, let's keep moving. So a judge, as I said, cannot act in an ministerial venue. Why? Didn't I just tell you that? That he goes into an administrative court, that he has no judicial authority? Didn't I say that?
Indeed.
Huh? Indeed. Okay, so here it is. A judge ceases to sit as a judicial officer because the governing principle of administrative law provides that courts are prohibited from substituting their evidence, their testimony, their records, their arguments, and their rationale for that of an agency. Wow, why are they applying agency within ministerial? Because if a court is ministerial, then it's administrating some sort of program, isn't it? It's usually a federal program, isn't it?
Yes.
And it usually already has its rules and regulations regarding it, doesn't it?
Yes.
All right. There's no need to arrest and have adjudication in that respect. So, additionally, now this is confusing because it seems like it's the same thing, but there's a catch in here. Additionally, courts are prohibited from substituting their judgment. See, it says courts are prohibited from substituting their evidence. They can't even bring evidence against you. So when they're coming in with evidence in these little courts, can't bring them in there. If that's what they were. Now they're saying, and now the judge, now the court, whoever's sitting as the court administrator, can't even pass a judgment on you. Because he can't substitute their judgment for that of an agency. Like a DMV is an agency. Am I right? So they ain't supposed to be listening to that stuff. And then they can't judge. Courts that are in administrative, remember? Administrative means they're administering some program specific, and that's the only program. That's why it says that the policy enforcers are pushing codes, right? Or whatever. Really, they're enforcing penal codes, though. That's another whole thing. But they are not enforcing law because the administrative policies, right, are about that particular program that they are administering. So they are administering that particular one thing. Got it? So courts and administrative issues are prohibited from even listening to or hearing arguments, presentation, or rationale from agencies. They can't even hear it. Look, traffic venues, because I said venues, because they say courts, are administrative venues. Because there's a public safety program, and that's what they're administering, correct? And I'm not here to do the traffic thing, but I did add something. So my question is, why don't administrative courts have judicial authority, and what is their purpose? But I just said it. That was my notes to myself. I gave you that, right? You got the answer to that? Why don't they have it? All right, so let's continue with the extension of judicial authority. This is all I'm really dealing with is Article 3. That's it, and that's all. Where the judicial power and authority is. Article 3, Section 2, continuing with judicial authority. Section 2 says the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made, or which shall be made under authority, to all cases that are affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. You got people running around looking, yeah, they doing maritime, they doing admiralty. It's already covered in the Constitution. Do you understand? Because we missed the basics, so that's why we missed that too. To controversies to which now I haven't read, the United States shall be a party. But I got another one that says, but on the next paragraph it says, to which a state shall be a party. Do you understand it's two different things? It's right in the Constitution. That's why I said this is also about diversity. Okay, so it says To controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and a citizen of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state, claiming lands under grants or different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects. Do you get it? You got states, you got several states, you got natural people. There's a bunch of things going on. The union are the union states. That's why it says states, several states, some are in the union, some are not. You got a lot of stuff going on, so check it out. This said the United States shall be a party. But I wanted to take a break here because remember it said ministers? You got people running around saying they're ministers and ambassadors, right? Yeah, all right. Well, in law, a minister in international law is an officer appointed by the government of one nation as a mediator or arbitrator between two or other nations who are engaged in a controversy with their consent with a view to effecting an amicable adjustment of the dispute. And then plenipotentiary means that ministers plenipotentiary have been granted or commissioned the authority to do so. And the minister portion here, look, ambassadors, diplomats, consuls, they're all appointed positions, including a consul that you may choose to help you out. That is an appointed position in that you decided that you're going to be my consul, right? If I say so. But I don't suggest you do that unless somebody knows the Constitution.
Islam.
And what we found is nobody knows the Constitution, and then they're wondering why they're going out there getting other people to help them. I'm not saying that we can't build with each other. That's a good thing to do. But let's have the conversation based on the solid foundation. Right? So if you don't know the Constitution and you're going to go and get someone to help you, and they don't know it either, you are screwed. And then blame it on, well, they said that. No, this is the information for you to compile your position. And it don't have to be long. Let me show you. So you got a man, you got people talking about their ambassadors, their diplomats, their consuls, they're all this stuff that's supposed to be appointed and assigned, but you're still covered in the Constitution if that's what you are. But we get confused between the ministers of ecclesiastics and religion and ministers in law. We don't clear it up. So you got people who think they're ministers because of their religious position and or beliefs, don't know jack about law. You see what I'm saying? Because if I wanted to minister in the church circle, then I would give me a minister that's a minister of the ecclesiastic of the church. But if you're going to walk around and say you're a minister and therefore you are protected by the Constitution, you're supposed to be no law. And we have to know the difference. So I wanted to inject that and then go on back into I said there's, okay, this is what I wanted to show you. Did you see where it says in all cases affecting the ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, and those in which a state shall be a party? Did you see right before that it says whether the United States shall be a party? Do you see this conglomeration of diversity here?
Yes.
All right. That's why it's important for you to be a proper person. Be who you are. Hell, if everybody else can be who they are, why can't you? You're the natural people that the Bill of Rights protects in this document, while the rest of the corporations have their rules and regulations under the articles. Now, I know a Moor that told me that I think the Grand Sheik or someone told them that it's the other way around, that the articles are the only thing that's for us, and the Bill of Rights is for the corporations. So you know right away, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They haven't studied jack. To believe that means they haven't studied anything. Because that's just not true. Unless they're a corporation. Then yeah. Okay, so, but that's not what the Constitution was written for. It was written to protect protect, preserve, and secure the rights of the natural people that were found here. So they're not saying that they're them, and they're saying that they're a corporation, then I guess, yes, I guess it applies to them. I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying there's at least 3 or 4 different people in here in diversity and citizenship. So, you know what a state is: a people occupying a fixed territory, bound by common law, habits, and custom into one body politic, exercising through the medium of an organized government, independent sovereignty and control over persons and things within its boundaries. So that would be a limited control, and the limitations are in the law of the land, depending on what kind of state you are in. You follow? And you see it says, bound together by common law, habits, and organized government. So we know what the organized government is. That's what's over. States now are trying to be formed. I put a note in on the Northwest Ordinance. I'm going to explain that real quick. And some are trying to pull away. You've heard some of the states saying they're going to pull away from the union? Y'all heard that, but you don't know what the hell they talking about, do you? Tell the truth, don't lie. You're like, what the hell are they talking about? Now you do. The union is the United States of America. It's a union. Some of the states were never involved in the union, ever. Others joined the union. Some did not. Now some say, hell, it's hot up in here. I don't want to be a part of the union, and you think that you're falling, or it has something to do with you. It means they don't want to be a part of the union. That's what it means. Yes.
Islam. It appears that some of those states, for example, California, Khalifa, and Texas are 2 of such states wishing to succeed, and ironically, they've experienced anything from fires, look like wildfires, floods, and so forth. Do you think that's sort of a weather war deterrent?
You know, that's an interesting thing when you look at the spirit, the energy of Mother Nature and universal law. But I think that that's coming down on us anyway. And I think that people wanting to come out of that iron hand that has been on all of us might be all that they're really doing is trying to come up out of it. Now, if they're trying to come up out of it and repeat the same thing, which is one of the things that Moors do, and that's what's so sad for us, is that we want to be free, right? But then we turn around and do the same stuff that we've been taught by the modern European and put it back on our people because it's all we know. That's why it's important. So I hear what you're saying because they've been hammered. Whoa, it started at Corpus Christi, which is where a lot of the politicians meet in Texas when they had that bad flood. Well, Katrina, yeah, that's true. Don't forget that, yeah. So, because I know that the power of the people can make change, and they make notes, they make jokes or notes or not full, don't think it's serious when they say that the natives used to have rain dances and make it rain. That's very real. So, a lot of the consciousness that's happening now, even though it's chaotic, because we're chaotic, is because of the raising of the mental consciousness of the people and the chaos that comes with it and the friction and the confusion. And that's what you're seeing because it's everywhere. But this was noted to happen. But I am going to take a special note about California and Corpus Christi. I keep saying that. Texas. But it's been hitting in a lot of places. It hits in some places you don't know about. Bad weather. You know, they'll cover. They make finance off of these things too, you know.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, disaster, chaos, confusion. It doesn't bother certain people because they're equipped to make finance off of all of that and take advantage of people. You know? That's remember out of chaos comes order though. And that's what we're heading for now. Yeah. Because I know, like I said, Mother Nature, she will correct you and quit. So again, with the Northwest Ordinance, these people are now trying to form, some of these modern Europeans are trying to form states and trying to get some of us to join in within two form states. Most of some of us that they want to get in to join are going to be the educated of us who, you know, are educated but don't really know, they're not really educated about these things. It's just, and that's another side of this. It's like, you know, it's hard to accept that you're not educated when you got to be the master's degree or whatever, that you really didn't learn jack in terms of reality of what is real, especially of law.
Islam?
Yes. You said Islam? Oh, you're Islamic today? Well, it's true. So, so I say that to say that, you know, so they're gonna, like the Northwest Ordinance thing, they thought, oh, that's the Constitution. And no. When the Constitution was formed and they were on their way, when the alliance of the Union was formed, and they were on their way to getting independence, and had there was a 7-year fight, and they were just kind of sitting back waiting, see what happens. And that's why George Washington letter, he says, oh, these people who we've never done nothing to, yeah, right, you know, like they're innocent, right? So I'm saying that the Northwest Ordinance was showing you what you had to do to become a state, and then to join the Union. That's what that's about. And that really doesn't apply to us, but we don't know that, so we think we're gonna, you know, we can use. Yeah, we don't know. It's what we don't know. Modern Europeans is trying to do that because they gotta find some salvation for themselves. You know, it's nothing personal or anything, but everybody's got to confess their own way about now. And so, the definition of the United States. United States, and I'm just showing you the diversity and the different people. And before we, you know, I think my next one is, okay, yeah, trial of promise. The term has several meanings, United States. It may merely be the name of a sovereign occupying the position analogous to that of other sovereigns in a family of nations. It may designate territory over which sovereignty of the United States shall extend, or it may be a collective name of the states which are united by and under the Constitution. So you got to understand, you know, we don't have this diversity of knowledge. We don't know what is what. There are many United States. There is the United States of Mexico, the United States of Venezuela, the United States of Brazil, the United States of Cuba, etc., etc. North America is the United States of Morocco, or United States of Al-Marak. United States of America is the union of states that are operating on the Al-Moroccan American soil. You get it?
That'll be now 56.
Well, not now 50. Yeah. If they're in the union.
Right.
Yes. Yes. They're not, well, that's why you said that.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. I'm sorry.
Hawaii is no longer part of the states.
Hawaii is not. I told somebody that they thought I was absolutely crazy because they only thinking from. No, you're right.
In Puerto Rico.
What bankrupt?
Right. So they're not a part of the.
But those are all union corporate states.
Right.
They're all unions.
So Hawaii,
They're all corporations, so it doesn't really matter. They're not the land.
I think it's another one that I think it's 3 that left.
Well, she said that Texas and California.
We're looking to succeed, trying to succeed,
Oh.
trying to succeed.
Puerto Rico and
Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and then it is another one. Alaska?
Alaska.
Yes. You know that Alaska is Maghreb al-Aqsa?
Yes.
Look at that. Maghreb al-Aqsa, Alaska. That's the far west. That's Morocco, the far west.
Puerto Rico is called what?
Well, Puerto Rico is Puerto Riches. That's a word play on the land, which is Berenqua.
Yes.
Yeah. So people know who been knowing, who do know that they fly to and from Berenqua. They're not going to Puerto Rico.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And that's called what? Jurisdiction. Meaning what? Right words. Not complicated, is it? No. So, let's just talk for a second about the trial because we're still in here. We're still in Article 3. We haven't left it. The trial of crimes. But first, before we get to what happens with a crime, we need to know what a crime is, don't we?
Yes.
So what does this say? This is the absolute law. For a crime to exist, there must be an injured party. Corpus means corp, the body, right? Delecta. There can be no sanction or penalty imposed on one because of this constitutional right.
Islam.
That's it. So before we can go about trials and crimes, we gotta have an injured party somewhere. Right? An injury to the body. That I will make whole, not go to jail for it, by the way. But, so let's talk about what it says. Trial of crimes. We're just bringing this home to you about the land, about the jurisdiction, about where you are, and where you think you are, and what your language has to change so that you can have the right jurisdiction, and therefore be afforded jurisdiction proper. The trial of all crimes except in cases of impeachment, I know somebody might be in trouble on that one, right? Shall be by jury. I know they're not doing this stuff, but this is because it's like a Mexican stand, what they call a Mexican standoff. You're not doing it either. Shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state. Now hold it now. Pin on this. Shall be held in the state where the said crime shall have been committed. But when it's not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may, by law, have directed. I need you to tell me what does it mean when it says, but when it is not committed within any state.
Airplanes, boats.
I heard the state is the capital, and everything outside of that is North America.
Well, that's their fort. That's their, like, anyway, in other words, colonists, if you look it up, it's in, Are You Denying Me Ancestry? I give the definition and everything. Wherever they are, they have to have a connection to their motherland. Yes. And really, D.C. is that main connection for the Union of States. Right. But now he made a point that when it happens in the air or whatever like that, right? Of course, I'm not going to say they weren't talking about being in the air, but that's a reality. But what I'm saying is, apparently, when we go back to the drawing of subdivisions, and you tell me if this makes sense. Yes. If I am not in the state of Pennsylvania, because it's a corporation.
That's what I was about to say.
Is that what you're going to say?
Yes.
Then I make that known. That it didn't happen in the state of Pennsylvania. Because the state of Pennsylvania is a piece of paper in a jar.
That's fine.
So it's afforded for in the Constitution for you to have that position. But if you don't take that position, you don't claim that position, if you don't speak that position, it doesn't exist. It's a waiver. It's really worse than a waiver. Would you agree with that, Ms. Rain?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. So you should be saying to the Congress, yeah, give me a call when you find a place. I'll be over on 5th Street. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just joking, but you get me. That's how it is. Actually, they shouldn't be dealing with it at all because now you got to go back to 3. What is? Let me show you what you got to go through right now. All right, let me go through this. I'll show you. Because what is the matter? Was it an offense between a state and another state? A state and a natural person? A state of the Union State? A state and citizens of another state? What the heck is the matter? Who's who? What is what going on? And we don't really recognize what's being addressed to us.
Excuse me.
Yes.
And the only reason I said.
Can you we're going to give you the mic.
Pardon me. Am I good?
You're good.
All right. No, the only reason I mentioned.
Talk into it.
Only reason I mentioned airplanes is because like last week, a civil matter had happened where a woman was traveling and the flight attendant said, put your dog in the bag. She put her dog in the bag and the dog died because they wanted her to hold it up on the overpass, the overhead thing.
Ah.
So her dog died as a result of that. But that's a civil matter,
Yes.
right? So how would that go? How would they handle a civil matter like that?
That's a very,
They were in the air.
huh?
Yeah,
When
they
they
were,
flying.
they were in the air,
Right.
they weren't on the ground, it didn't, happen in the place, quote unquote.
I don't know, what would you say?
Well, shit,
Huh? Because it's still,
but,
Whatever territory they flying over, bro.
go ahead sis, what did you say?
well, I would think that a person's rights will extend to the land and
To infinite. Exactly, because it's about you walking on this, it's about you walking on this earth, flying on this earth, breathing on this earth, period. I agree with you.
Right, I would assume that your rights extend from the ground through the air infinity, like, it don't stop because you're in the air.
You got a thought?
Yeah, I mean, after this, brother.
Right to right.
They're probably just gonna say it's US airspace.
Don't think the U.S. can own the air just like they can own the land.
Right.
But I'm just saying that's their claim. Unless
Oh, you said they'll probably say
Yeah,
that.
that's the
I would look
airlines.
into that.
The airlines will
I
probably
would
say
like to
that.
know that.
It's a civil matter.
Oh, this is civil now, right.
I don't know if I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Brought it to the table.
All right.
The first thing that I thought was that's a violation of the Fourth Bill of Rights, because wouldn't a dog constitute an effect?
True.
And
I mean,
when,
but they also consider dogs property too.
Yeah, dogs are
Like
considered
dogs
property.
have owners.
so if now we do know that the superior claim is when we're in our proper person, and dealing with the matter. So at that point, when one does declare and proclaim their nationality, and knowing that they're part and parcel to the land, when you look up land in Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition, land also includes
Yeah.
the space below the ground as well as any area above the ground. So the remedy would probably lie in that and the Fourth Bill of Rights in our proper person. Now you look for.
Yeah, and in the position of who it is that, whether, who they were property. Okay. All right. So Amendment 6, in all criminal prosecutions, now we're talking criminal, supposedly. The accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. You know that doesn't happen. By an impartial jury check of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, of which such district shall have been what? Previously ascertained by law. What does that mean? Delegation of authority.
Right.
You see?
Yes.
Means they must have that. And to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Wherein the crime shall have been committed. That's the question, isn't it? That's how you get to say the jury is of my peers. Because I'm on my
Ancestral estate.
national. Yes.
Yes.
So, definition then of a competent court. It's either a civil court or it's a criminal court. And what does it say? There's a comma should be after criminal and the P should be small, but I just had to type this in when I got it. Possessing what? Lawful jurisdiction. I don't care whether they call themselves civil or criminal court. Lawful jurisdiction must be in possession. Is it not clear?
Very clear.
Proof of jurisdiction must be shown, produced for the record, right?
Yes.
Why? Because it's a tangible piece of paper. It says shown, produced, on the record, for the record, right?
Yes.
Does it say produced? Says shown? See, the case law today, you've read it, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm so upset with myself because that's the only case law that I didn't get a chance to pull off on my other computer. But it's there, and I've used it. It must be shown. It must be produced. That's what it says. So if it's something that means shown, that means you can see it, right? If it's something that's produced, that means it's tangible, right?
Right.
You can pick it up. All right. They are then the violators, right? And the frauds, right? Huh. I like to say, why are many people going after them for the simple purpose of enforcing the law so you and people are not molested by these other citizens? We will not take the time to go do that, only because we lack the knowing. That make sense?
Yes.
And plus, they're going to be the boogeyman. So, you know, scoff at you and do some things. Now, I showed this last time. What we are involved in is a bunch of kangaroo tribunals. And such a thing is called kangaroo. The definition is here. Term descriptive of a sham. You know, like a sham scam? Legal proceeding in which a person's rights are totally disregarded and in which the result is a foregone conclusion because of the bias of the court or other tribunal. So apparently, we're in the wrong court. Apparently, this is not really a court. Now, one person saying, yeah, but you know what? They sent me this paper that said, you know, I got to come, and if I don't, they're going to come, you know, and they got a fake warrant. It's not a real warrant. That's, you see what that is in Article 4. I mean, yeah, Bill of Rights 4. To describe what a warrant really is. It has a raised seal also. But still, they say all this stuff. But I tell you, they're operating under color of law, color of authority, and color of office. So that's the reason why how they're doing what they're doing is right there. And a sham plea with a sham kangaroo court. A sham plea means it's false. It's a false plea. It's false in terms of the set of a pleading. A sham pleading is therefore one that looks good in form, but it is false in fact. And that's what's going on all day long. So I'm giving the foundation of what a real, judicial authority is and why it's important. And I know that if all of us across the nation, all four corners, would have this information and enforce it, would it not be over? Wouldn't it be over quick? You know what I'm saying? It would be, right? You from the younger generation, right? Yeah, I see it. That's who has to do it. And stop, but what's happening, women have to do it. Because women have to teach their babies and the sons are the protectors of the family.
That's fine.
And the sons, they want the people, even if the son or it doesn't matter, they want to do this, but they lack knowledge. So they're worries without a cause. That's what we got running around. Doesn't mean you have to go cut people's heads off and all that, but you got to know this because they're using this against you. And this is your stuff. Yes.
How do you, when you know this, how do you
Use it.
enforce, I don't know the Constitution yet.
Yes, it's
So-
I'm teaching it. You know it now.
Okay.
You don't know it yet.
So-
I don't know. Yeah, okay. All right.
So my question is, how do you enforce when you know your rights are being violated and they're trying to enforce their false?
Color of law.
Okay, because you can see from what you learn that they are enforcing color of law. Color of law is the appearance or semblance without the substance of a legal right. Color of authority is that semblance, so that's color of authority. They're acting like they're authority. You know, law enforcement says something, you follow, and all that. It's the semblance, which means pretense, not the real deal, or presumption of authority sustaining the acts of a public officer, which is derived from his apparent title to the office or from a writ, piece of paper that he might have, or other process in his hands, apparently valid and regular. But it's not. How do you know? Because you found out what a real, for instance, warrant is. It has a raised seal. That's not what it is saying. I think I know what you're saying. When we all enforce this truth, it's over overnight.
I need to speak with you afterwards because
Alright.
I just need to speak with you.
Why? What's the matter?
Because I've done the writs, I've done
I'd like to see your writs.
I'll show it.
You know why? Because I want to say this, and this may not be you, and this is what I meant to add to your answer. We have to live and breathe in the spirit of the law.
Islam.
That's it. Because there's people that will be just like what you said. Well, I wrote that down, and I'm thinking that you didn't put it. Not you. I'm saying I'm not judging you, but most people did not put that together in the spirit of the law, because the spirit of the law was not within them. That's why I'm sharing with you and saying to you, in my opinion only, get the basis of the Constitution in, and you automatically will know what to write and how to write it, and it don't even have to be wrong. Are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
Because that's true.
It's just so true. I'm going to show you. Power of office is a claim or assumption of a right to do or act by virtue of an office made by a person who is legally destitute of any such right, and act unjustly done by the cognizance of an office, being grounded upon corruption to which the office is as a shadow of color. Okay, all right, so we know all this, but they're still doing all this because we're not enforcing the real deal in the spirit of the law. We gotta have it. We gotta inbred it into the children. So here's this. What we do want to do. What they know is that the Constitution is a written instrument. As such, its meaning does not alter. That which it meant when it was adopted, it means now. What they know is that they're bound to interpret the Constitution in the light of the law as it existed at the time it was adopted. What they know is the Constitution of these United States is the supreme law of the land. Any law that is repugnant to it is null and void of law. They know that, but that's why they design to make sure you don't know it. So you say you're an androgynous. Oh, I'm an androgynous being. Singly, I'm not anything. I'm just the spirit man. Okay. Under the United States Republic's constitutional system of government and upon the individuality and intelligence of the citizen, thus he does not claim to control one's conduct to others, leaving one the sole judge as to all that affects oneself. So that's true. You view that, then be so. All right? In the law. Prophet Noble Joel said, I have given you everything to save the nation. Now just go out and save yourself. That's what that's saying. Don't let the state determine what your fate is or determine judging you. You understand what I'm saying? Because they don't have authority for that. They got a limited authority that they ain't going to sell. So don't leave it up to them, because I'll say it again. Under the Republic's constitutional system of government and upon the individuality and intelligence, all right, the state does not claim to control your conduct to others. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be civil. You're supposed to be civil and act like civilized peoples. Up in here.
Islam.
So that's another problem. Teach the babies that. So all the previous has been shown to you to demonstrate to you that none, see the word no one is really none, has superiority to the law of the land. I'm not gonna read. I'm gonna end with. I'm looking for it, but I don't have the. Okay, I'm not reading that. A definition of an argument is a positive statement of facts in opposition to argument or to any inference, and offer to provide a plea or pleading, the concluding part of a plea, replication, or other pleading containing new affirmative matter by which the party offers or declares themselves ready to verify. Now, quote warranted. You may find this interesting because it says that commanding the defendant to show by what warrant, right? Does that confuse you a little when you read that, maybe? On the site about the quote warranted definition? No, because the person who's imposing on you becomes a defendant when you counter them.
Islam.
That's why. So let me say, quo warranto, and although in Old English, now remember, they're operating under English law often. That's not your law. But still, I mean, this is American law. But this is where this comes from. Because they would steal and usurp stuff. See, it's right here. A writ in the nature of a writ of right for the king against him who claimed or usurped any office, franchise, or liberty, to acquire by what authority he supported his claim in order to determine the right. It lay also in case of non-user or long neglect of a franchise or misuse or abuse of it, being a writ commanding the defendant to show by what warrant he exercises such a franchise, having never had any grant of it, or having forfeited it by neglect of abuse. They automatically become the defendant on that. Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No.
I had a quick question.
Uh-huh.
What would your make be when a policy officer says that they have no knowledge or belief of the Constitution?
That's, ignorance of the law, you definitely know.
I got that. I just showed you that they're deemed to know the law. If they're officers of a court, they're supposed to know the law. And ignorance of the law goes both ways. See, this is what we gotta understand. And then we sit there, we don't need to sit there and try to teach them law. It is a case law that says that they have no immunity to their liability for not knowing law because of what? They're deemed to know the law. So what you do is put that down there. I don't care what he says. He's nothing but a what is he again? An employee of a corporation, right? Proving that he's not what? He's not an officer of the law. And we can like, you're supposed to know law. Just use that case on this done. Yes.
No, I just wanted to add on that it was a brother and his wife or whatnot, and they got pulled over, and the policy enforcer.
Just talk in the middle of the mic.
Yeah, the policy enforcer played that game with them on the side of the road. You know, he wanted to see identification. The brother, he did not show him anything. He refused to show him anything.
Spirit.
But the policy enforcer was playing as if he never heard of this stuff. So he said, get your supervisor here.
Yes.
Supervisor comes, the brother's still standing on his square. And he's saying, you know, I'm not showing him anything. Bottom line, because the probable cause doesn't add up. So they on the side of the road for about 20 minutes. The brother never showed him his identification card.
Right.
And they let him go.
Because he didn't make a submission into the jurisdiction. You give them a
now, this is an active Moor, though. And he did have a nationality card in his pocket.
Now he decided, I ain't showing it
But
to
the
him.
point was, he didn't have to show it.
That's right.
And though they was playing this game of, oh, you know, another thing they do is they'll act like they did hear of it. Oh, are you a sovereign citizen?
Oh, please tell them more.
That's the other game they play. If they hear of it, oh yeah, you're talking like a sovereign citizen. No, I'm talking like you're gonna uphold your oath today because you took an oath to uphold it. It's a difference, you feel me? So that's another way of them playing dumb, as if they don't know, is to label you off top because you're talking constitutional principles. But I do want to say we have that on film. You know what I mean?
Well,
I just wanted to add.
and make sure it's very, 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 very clear. Do not agree to say that you are a sovereign citizen. That is their new code word, not because it's against you and you are or you are not, but because first of all, there's no place called sovereign city for you to be a sovereign citizen of. That's number one. That's number 1A. Number 1B is modern Europeans created the sovereign citizen movement having nothing to do with you. All right? And so they use sovereign citizen to lump you into that. You have got to, as soon as they say that, correct that. I don't know a place called Sovereign City that I can be a citizen of. Somebody's hands up. Oh, where's the mic?
Yeah, right here. I'm sorry. I just want to just very quickly to say that when you sharing the government and a quo warranto, that it's all in the nature of a counterclaim, even
Yeah.
down to the.
That's why they become a defendant.
So, I
Thank you. That's exactly why, brother, they become a defendant, and it says defendant right there, because it really is a counterclaim. Because let me just say this: anybody that goes to any courtroom, so-called courtroom, all they're doing is bringing a claim against you. Respond to the claim. Because if you don't, it's a default. If you don't, you're not responding to the claim. Let me just say this: somebody goes, put something in. They make a claim, right? You don't respond to whatever their claim is. Hold on, Dooley, I got you.
No. I'm
You
laughing
think I'm ignoring you?
I'm laughing at myself.
Why? Why?
I'm laughing at myself.
What's so funny? You know I would never ignore you.
No, I told a joke to myself.
You did. Somebody put in a claim to you, right? Against you. It might be frivolous, it may be stupid, it might not be true. Whatever it is. If you don't respond to it, if you go on this side, and I do want to say this, especially when we talk about this avermented jurisdiction, so we can move on from here, is that when you go to the courtroom, or when they come to the court and they put in a claim against you, right? And you don't answer the claim because you're too busy trying to see if the court and the judge has an averment of jurisdiction or has jurisdiction, right? In the meantime, while you're doing, not that that's not important, but while you're doing that, you never answered the person who brought the claim. You never answered what they were claiming you against. Because you're too busy trying to see if the judge was okay. So it's like this, they got one hand behind their back, right? The claimant's back here, right? Like, yeah, they're gonna keep asking me about an averment jurisdiction. In a minute, they're going to bypass their time to answer you, to claim it. They never answered you. Do you understand? Get it? So be very careful. Deal with the person who brought the claim. Yes, Abdullah. Do you have a mic?
Yes, go back to the sovereign citizen BS's.
Yes.
That's something that we need to do and address on a national scale, because they're lumping our activity with them.
Yes.
Criminal, unconstitutional, so that needs to be addressed on a national scale. This one-on-one addressing is not going to get it done.
Yeah.
This one, he addresses it, and then he addresses it next year.
No, that's their new thing now.
No, I'm saying we as a body, just like I'm going to be working with Brother Shalimar with the restoration of consular courts, using my newspaper with 200,000 copies.
Oh, I got somebody sent me an email.
Yeah, when we reissued the Masonic Gate. Reissuing the Masonic Gate.
Oh, that's a newspaper.
Yeah,
I'm talking about consular courts. So what will we do in the consular court? Send from the seal?
I'm going to be using my paper as publication.
Oh, all right.
Letting them know what they're doing. Publication.
Oh, yes.
All right. I'm writing an open letter to the
got
director of the National Constitution Center, recommending that he put an exhibit, which he will put in there. All right, honoring the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Bill Clinton, when he was president, stated that the longest and unbroken treaty in the world is a treaty between us, Morocco, and the United States. This is not taught to the children.
No, it's not.
How in the world is it that the longest standing and unbroken treaty in the entire world is not taught in the textbooks? How can that be?
It's a purposeful thing.
No, listen. You raised that question, so. All right, so I just yield the floor.
All right.
May I ask one question?
Yes.
Okay, in light of what Dooley was just saying about the treaty not being taught, what does it say about the fact that they actually are taking cursive out of the schools, but the Declaration of Independence was written in cursive?
Well, it's like I said earlier, they're the miseducation of the Negro, so-called Negro. Everybody knows, but those who need to know, right? Well, here's the deal. They miseducated our children and us, some of us, all of us, by a planned social engineering. And one of the things that they did was they don't teach them how to write. You remember when you were in school? Who remembers this? Do you remember? And I'm going to put this on the site, I'm gonna put short essays, and when you have the essays, then you're going to, it's gonna have questions at the end of it, so you can have comprehensive reading. Because what our people don't have for the most part, I'm sure there's exceptions, but let's get real, for the most part, is comprehensive reading capability. We just don't have it. Y'all don't care if you want to pretend to not, because I see everybody who doesn't know how to follow directions. I'm not talking about those who make mistakes every now and then. We do not have it. It was not taught. Period. Don't be ashamed. Just fix it. Don't say, oh, I know we were educated, and then sit on your behind and don't do nothing about it. So now, after that was where the whole learning came in. Whole learning, it was a convolution. Now you have what? You have no writing. They want you to print because they think you're too stupid or something, that you can't learn cursive, or because there's nobody teaching. Like I just said, there should be.
They want us to be stupid.
They want you to be stupid, and there should be, if anybody really concerned about anything, they need to talk about having institutions of learning in the future, near and far. That's the truth, and that's it, and that's all. So how did we learn to write before? This was the little dotted line on the ruled lines, and you know that you're going to have to write a big A in cursive, and then you're going to have to write little a. Don't go over that line. And then you write the big B in cursive. Oh, geez, I've been so long since I wrote a cursive B. And then you write the little b in cursive. Don't go over that dotted line. Same thing. Or everywhere. And most of them are the same. And the little d. And if it goes up, that's fine. But don't let the bottom part go over that line. And that's how you learn how to write cursive. And that's how you also learn how to write printing as well. Because look, our people are so bad. I got news flash. Newsflash, our people have been miseducated so badly, and we got it to help. They don't even know how to print. That's some sadness. This is simplistic right here. So you got the big K, and then you got the little K. What makes it little? It doesn't go over that middle line. You see what I'm saying? They didn't even know how to print well. You can't even say print. And then you realize, and I realized, this was planned. Then we hear that they're going to be teaching the children to print only. And you really need to, it's got to come to an end now. It's got to come to an end. And the same thing with the times table. You know the times table. And if you don't know it, you need to get to know it. I'm going to put it up on the site. It's the 12 times table. I'm not going to be able to draw that here, but 12, and then you can add, subtract, divide, and multiply. Learn how to do all of that on that one board. Right?
Fine.
All right. So, curing of jurisdiction. One of jurisdiction, we all know, here's some of the answers. May not be cured by consent of the parties. It must be shown, right? So you can stay until the cows come home on that. If you don't know that, if you don't do anything else, although you really should gotta move your matters out of the court, well, you don't have to get all involved in other stuff. It's clear. Just have the spirit of law with you, and believe me, you will get a different reply with the spirit of law. So here we go with U.S. versus Bishop. If you have relied on prior decisions of the Supreme Court, you have the perfect defense for willfulness. What they mean by perfect defense for willfulness means that if you're in a so-called courtroom, and the so-called judge or whatever he is, you got to identify who he is. That's what an average jurisdiction does. We don't have to guess what kind of court you are and all of that because the average says so. So why play games? Why don't you use that logic on them? Well, you tell me you have jurisdiction, I know. But I know, I just read the case law up here, that jurisdiction cannot be satisfied by mere want. You know that means that you may want it, but you can't satisfy it by just wanting it. So the aberrant jurisdiction or the delegation of authority that has been ordained, right? Why don't you just present that? Because you got to show it, has to be produced, and then none of us would have to guess who's who and what's what. That's what it is for. Now, if you knew that's what it's for, you things purposely. And so we say, oh, we know we haven't been taught, but we're not thinking about institutions of learning? What's wrong with us? Isn't it clear by now that they're not going to teach you what you need to know that's right in front of your face? That's what the prophet said when he said every temple had to have a school, but that didn't happen. But still, that's why he said it. A whole lot of other people have said it in different disciplines. We all know it. So, in essence, here's what it is. And this is short and sweet, and this is the end of my presentation for the most part here. As an idea, as an example, when the paperwork claims or charging document says the state of ... versus you, you have approximately 3 ways or a combination of ways to handle things. I'm not writing a writ here. I'm just giving you a general idea. You understand? 1, pursuant to Article 3, Section 3, wherein all controversies regarding a state has original jurisdiction in the Supreme Court. Therefore, a municipal court is not a Supreme Court unless they show the delegated authority, unless you show the delegated, if you were writing to them, unless you show the delegated authority pursuant to Article 3, Section 1, wherein they have been given or was delegated authority, even if temporarily, or as it says, from time to time. Do you follow that after being shown what it says in Article 3? Do you? You get it? So, without knowing what the foundation says in Article 3, you could never write or say that, could you?
Right.
There goes the problem. And so then, when you do, as smart as you are, you will figure out how to write your own writ. Or what to say. And it doesn't have to be that. Number 2 on this one. Check it out. Since you have the right to face your accuser, the state needs, since the state's versing you, right? Right? That's what it says, doesn't it?
Yes.
Now, hold on. You got policy enforcers that are actually corporate employees, correct? I showed you that, right? Commercial mercenaries. Who are stopping you, hindering you on the road, right? Writing up a suit, which is a ticket, right? But then by the time you get the stuff in the mail, suddenly it says the state versus you. Really? How did that happen? Oh, so the state is versus me? What did I do to the state? I have a right to face my accuser, so since you have the right to face your accuser, the state needs to be in a court and accuser chair because you have the right to face your accuser. And show their injury, since there must be an injured party, they must show show their injury by something you did. Either your action or your failure to act, which caused an injury to somebody. Right? Does that make sense? Because in order for there to be a crime, there has to be an injured party. Period. Now, knowing that, can't you see how this thing doesn't have to be the way it was if we had knowledge? That was there all the time. It's not new. RBV publication is not bringing nothing new at all. Matter of fact, went through a lot to go dig this stuff up, period. Rahsmariah V Bey standing here, I'm not giving nothing new. Nobody's giving nothing new. This stuff is already there. What is that? All right, so it is, if now, and now again, I don't like to get into traffic too much because it's a whole, if it is traffic, what might they, I'm sorry, I switched this. What might they say? Well, we're enforcing traffic laws, right? Driving. Traffic laws are driving, right? Isn't that what they say if it's a traffic law? So you have about 3 answers to that, or some combination in your mind. One, make them show or prove that you were driving behind the wheel for compensation by using the case law regarding the same, which applies to who? All states and state agencies who are administering the Federal Driver's Public Safety Transportation Program. States cannot make any rules regarding it. Do you understand? The whole thing is a federal program for transportation driving, right? Being behind the wheel to make finance, correct?
Right.
So if that's what it is, then they're administering that program, correct?
Correct.
And if they're administering a program, they're an administrative court, correct?
Correct.
Which means they don't have judicial authority to arrest anybody, correct?
Correct.
I know they do it anyway, but is that correct?
Yes.
So therefore, if they're administering a program, then they can't make any rules regarding the program because they're being funded to administer it in the first place, right? Right? So here's the law. Here's the rule. Here's the case law. And an agency or party that's sitting for the agency. An agency or party that's sitting for the agency. That would be the magistrate of a municipal court. Has no authority to enforce as to any licensee unless he is acting for compensation. Do you understand what I just said? What was just said? They can't enforce jack nothing on you unless you are actually driving and getting paid, because that's what a driver is. You understand? Right. Or you're hired by an employer or you're self-employed, whatever, to be a driver with those regulations because you're carrying people, cargo, goods, whatever. Right?
Right.
Let me say it again. Agency or party sitting for the agency. That's DMP, right? Party sitting for the agency, which would be the magistrate or a municipal court, has no authority to enforce anything as to any licensee unless he is acting for compensation. Such an act is highly penal in nature and should not be construed to include anything which is not embraced within its terms, where there is no charge within a complaint that the accused, that will be you, was employed for compensation to do the act that is complained of. Or that the act constituted part of a contract. Right? So if you were working for yourself, not an employer, you may have a contract to do something. All right. You could stand on that until the day on cows came home, couldn't you? Could you not? You can play stupid if that's what they want you to do, but you ain't that stupid, you know this. I mean, did you hear what I'm saying? And there's nothing else to say. Just like when he just told you that the guy said, no, I'm not giving you my, he stood on the law. I'm not giving you jack. He didn't indulge, engrave. He didn't engage. These are rules of engagement, These are rules of engagement. You don't have to engage if the rules of engagement ain't right. That's how you need to think of it. It's a law of the land. It's rules of engagement. And if the engagement is improper, we're not engaging. How about that? Does that sound right? Because it is true. So, in addition, any court participating in it meaning in the federal program, driver's program, federal transportation program, where they contract out to the state, and then the state hires municipalities or contractors, right? Any court participating in it is administering the program, and therefore are administrative courts. They're not criminal courts. They're not judicial courts. They're only administrative. So what am I saying? If they are traffic, right? Some administration of traffic, right? Then what are they? Any court that's participating in that program is administering the program, and therefore they are administrative courts, but they're not criminal courts, and they're not judicial courts. They're only administrative. So therefore, looking at the program you are being funded to administer, there is nothing in it that suggests or allows me being arrested. In fact, traffic violations are not arrestable offenses in any instant.
Islam.
Did you know that traffic violations are not arrestable offenses? They're not a crime, and they're not exactly. So this is sort of like what you can write. You see how short that was? That is? That's it. And then step back. When you offer something you can't get under, you can't get over, you can't get around it. But the blah, 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 but that's not the problem so much as you going and not having the spirit of the law on your dial plate. You dial it right up. You can't dial it right up. The spirit, you dial it, what you did. It's the spirit of the law, which is why this is divine. Do you get it? And if you don't come with the spirit of the law, it ain't coming to meet you. You're in trouble. Oh, that should be 3. Those 3 things. Lastly, oh, and by the way, since I was not acting for compensation driving, my right, my liberty to travel upon the highways and the byways is not a privilege. It is an absolute right. And the police, nor city, nor state cannot make it void under any pretense or pretext. You understand? Why? Because you know this. You have seen these, right?
Yeah.
This is why. This is showing you police can't do it, city can't do it, state can't do it. That's what it's showing you. The right to travel, the right to motor conveyance, the right to locomotion are all absolute rights, and the police cannot make void the exercise of rights, period. Oh, we know they do it anyway, because you didn't know that. And you let them do it for generations and generations and rape you and your mama and your daughter and your sister and your auntie and your uncle and your children. Doesn't mean that it can't change, yes.
I'm going to speak to two things, because since you're talking about the spirit of the law, I just wanted to speak to 2 things. One was, since you're speaking about this and saying that police, city, or state can't do anything with the right to travel,
right.
To address what the good sister here was saying, one idea in developing that spirit and confidently is to ask yourself, what permit or license did you need to crawl across your big mama's floor?
Big mama's floor.
Sure. You know what I mean? And then secondly, what Brother Dula was saying, us doing these things together, that's in essence, in nature, class action. So if all of us had our toes stepped on by the same being, and we all in this one room got our toes stepped on by the same being,
right,
then we will all come with that same big toe being stepped on complaint together.
I agree. But you know what I think is more powerful than a class action?
Okay.
Is a whole bunch of people doing it at the same time.
Yes.
Because a class action can take a right or a left or a turn and then just wiped out the whole 100 people.
Indeed.
But if you got 100 people, then you don't need the class action because it becomes that by its own merit individually.
Islam.
That's my opinion. My opinion in terms of strategy as to why class action is not good.
Okay.
All right?
Islam.
And it's true. Now, the other thing is that the problem, again, we have is that, we could all get together and have everybody, write it up or whatever like that. A lot of people don't know how to write, but learn how to write and we can do this thing. And that's also effective in that, imagine if everybody had this as their foundation, that would have been done just by normal stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's more powerful to have 100 people do the same thing than to have everybody go into one class action suit that could be swept up or whatever like that.
That's fine.
Let it become class C on its own. All of a sudden they're getting all this stuff. And that's part of the problem. They've been getting a lot of stuff from Moors that is absolutely frivolous because it's not written right, doesn't make sense. There's no who, what, where, what, and how. There's no demand of right or demand of action in any way. There's no directing of law. You're supposed to direct the law. You are the law. You know, you could talk about special appearance. There's special appearance. Special appearance means you come, you know, you're there to clear up a matter, right? You're not there to be adjudicated on. Special appearance can also be a writ. But a special visitation? Look it up. That means you come, and that's where you want to come. You come to visit this. What's going on up in here? You guys like that, right? I know, I just pretending like you guys. So that's what it is. That's the macho, you know, here I am. But I'm not saying it has to be macho. It really has to be women. Because women have to set the stage and the example for the family, period. Because that's the way it goes in nature. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it always will be. And when that's lacking, you're lacking, period. And that's what they showed you in Black Panther as well. Because I said before, and I'll say again, she wasn't sitting on the throne because she is the throne. You were sitting. She was having you come to sit on her chair. You understand? And you had to be the baddest one out there in order to sit. That's real talk, right? And some people get, because they say, well, the Black Panthers, you know, this story of the Black Panther goes long beyond the Black Panthers. Matter of fact, I could get tribute of the true inventors, and I don't know if I have any over there, I forgot to print them. And I can show you where they used the Black Panther once we came out of the Reconstruction to show us where, is one over there? Because I had a feeling I didn't want to have. To show us where to go to vote. In the 60s, yeah, got it. And you got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, fine, thank you. So you know what I'm saying? So let's not limit ourselves and stuff. The Black Panther is, first of all, a natural animal in the first place. And that particular thing, like I said, with the
Wakanda is an Aboriginal, Almoracan, or American word.
we can't hear you. Wakanda is a what?
It's an Aboriginal American.
No, we need the people need to hear you say what Wakanda means. That movie was like telling you, dropping the Jewels, jewels. Because Wakanda is what, Miss?
No, I was just saying that Wakanda is an Aboriginal appellation to the Americas. And it's known amongst 6 Asiatic tribes of North America. Like before they came out with the movie Black Panther, before they came out with the Marvel comic Black Panther, this was an appellation of Aboriginals. It just means great spirit or great mystery.
And where is Wakanda located?
I just told you it's a word.
Well, is it a place? Oh, you don't want to give that up yet?
It's a word. It's not a place. It's an appellation.
Yes. Yes. But when they were in the movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I was saying, even in the book, You and Deny Your Ancestry Part 2, in the back, I made sure I put all of those appellations.
Yes.
Because a lot of people think, you know, that the Europeans made these words up, such as Michigan, such as Kansas, such as Mississippi, when these are actually Aboriginal appellations that they made incorporations of. So like you were saying in the beginning of the class, every state wasn't a part of the union.
That's right.
It's a different jurisdiction. So like, you know, yeah, Kansas is a tribe of Asiatics. It's a people. It's not really a state, place name, shall I say.
Exactly.
So when she was saying in the movie, he was like, where we at, Africa or something like that? She was like, no, Kansas.
Right.
She said it sarcastically, but that was right and exact.
And
Because amongst that tribe, they used that word, Wakanda,
okay.
for the supreme being.
Got
Feel
you.
me?
See? It all comes back.
Yeah.
See? That movie, that's why I was saying, that movie was really dropping some jewels. But you have to have eyes to see and ears to listen. You know, instead of trying to, you know, people say, I'm going to decode this and I'm going to decode that. Decode the Constitution. How about that? Decoders. So the claim and exercise of any constitutional rights cannot be converted into a crime because ... The right to travel or park is part of the liberty of which the natural city can't do it. State can't do it. Police can't do it. Because it's a natural person's right. Do you get it? And it can't be deprived without what? Due process of law under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution. We didn't go into the Fifth and we won't because I'm about done now. For those who didn't know, that was last month. Those are the companies. All 13 colonies, right there. Yeah, we did that. Right there. They are corporations looking to be free, looking to be free of, independent of Britain, Great Britain, which is the British Moors, because they were and are British subjects, slaves, Slavics, period, right? Their independence, and on my next part 2 or 3, because I wanted to just go to try to show you why you need to enforce the Constitution with all the chaos and all the things that were going on at the time, why it came into play, because these people are all on the land, all right? Now, my next one will go past the Constitution. You know, like we're going into, 1791 was the Subject v. Moors, but that's the same year that the Constitution. All they wanted to do was make sure they weren't misconstrued. You have the Benjamin Banneker letter that was 1790, which said, oh my goodness, you're about to get your freedom and you want to put my people in slave, because that was their intent. And then you had, they really were never freed from being a slave on the Declaration of Independence. That was their companies being free, which is why you still had slavery. All right? So that part I want to go into next time. And Dooley's been doing a great history on, like it says, on the seas. And, you know, the treaty is important. The only thing I don't like that I've heard some people want to tap into the treaty because they're doing commerce, you know, instead of fortifying your birthrights first and being in your proper person so that you can move forward. They're doing, you know, they're not doing that. They want to jump into the treaty and try to see if they can extract finance because the Moorish fleets were owed some finance that the modern Europeans never paid, right? Mm-hmm. And see, that's somebody that's coming from a commercial European mindset type operation place, and not from effectuating and securing your birthrights first. And you can do whatever you want to do, contract however you wish to, join whatever you want to, join as a Moor, leave as a Moor. You got it? So with that, are there any questions? Oh, there is a question.
This question, I've gotten this quite frequently, so I'm going to pose it to you, and hopefully those who have asked can get their response. A lot of times when people are preparing to declare their nationality, correct their names, and so forth, and put their judicial notice out, sometimes they'll say to me, well, I want to send everything back. I'm going to send back my birth certificate, I'm sending back the driver's license and the social security number, and how would you respond to that? Because what should a person do, particularly if a person has need, if you will, to, I guess it would be have an relation with their straw, for maybe they're getting pension or maybe they're getting something. How does a person deal with that once they've declared a nationality, as far as those items that, those fictitious bonds that have been created?
Well, first, how do we deal with the birth? I'm going to answer that. How do we deal with birth certificates? Like you, I think a month or so ago, someone was saying I went into the hospital and had the child, and they want to force a birth certificate anyway with no name on it. Let them do it. It's not you, never was. Doesn't matter. They're going to do that anyway. I would ignore the birth certificate for one reason. It's an instrument that proves human trafficking. Now, that's what it is. That's what it does. It's toxic. It doesn't put you on Wall Street or nothing. You perceive that it has, and it doesn't. and you think you gotta cancel a birth certificate that was made in a boardroom or a corporation that you did not have a part to do with, therefore you can never they can give you a copy. You're saying, I'm going to go get an authentic copy and forget that you're still getting a copy. That's how silly we are. Leave that alone. Now, because you will always have an ex relationship with your nom-de-guerre, because that's what ex relationship is. Meaning I have information regarding it, but it's not me, because I'm the proper person. She may not have to bother with changing any name on whatever might be coming in. Because you can sue, be employed, and do business in any name, quote, you wish to, because the name's not you. The authorizing power behind it, or the natural flesh and blood, just like a corporation has a succession of natural people behind it. That's it. And so they could still write that check to whatever. I'm just saying if that's what that was about. And she can either endorse sign it, or really she can endorse sign it, because whoever signs it first, and then as long as it's signed first, then it doesn't matter about the rest of them and deposit it.
But should they be
concerned about
sending those items back?
Oh,
that's what people are saying. I'm sending my social security card back to I'm sending the birth certificate back to the. People think that they're supposed to send those things back.
I don't know.
I want you to. Yeah, I didn't think so, but I wanted you to clear that up.
All right. What is your comment?
Can I?
Next week I'm gonna go in on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, great.
I think, in my experience, when people say they're going to send stuff back, I think they're using the word send mistakenly in place of the word resend when dealing with signature rescission. I yield the floor.
True, but what are they actually doing?
They think they're supposed to send it, give it back.
Yeah, I think they should look up what rescinding and what rescission is, not only on RV Bey, but also in Black's Law Dictionary and in etymology. So,
Does anybody have a
I'm
rescind?
sorry.
Yeah, why?
Well, yeah.
Does anybody have a Black's Law? Can you look up rescind?
I got it. You want me to bring it up there too?
Huh?
Next week too.
Oh, you're gonna talk about that?
Yeah, brother man.
You know what? We're gonna hold that off next week.
Please ask that same question.
Next week.
Okay.
Make
All right.
sure you ask that question from the door.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah,
matter
put a
of
pin
fact,
in that one.
I'm going in on it from the door.
The difference between send and rescission or that
That whole concept.
Islam.
That
Oh,
whole concept.
What, sending something back?
The
Can
whole
you give him the mic, please?
Of what you just said. I'm not going in on it right
No,
now.
but we just want to hear what you're saying briefly.
Peace and love. I'm going to go into the actual, some of the aspects of existence relative to what she just asked. And I'm going to leave it at that for right now, because I thank you, Dr. Nailah, for opening up the platform for me to present.
Islam.
And I'm not going to play no games with it, okay? So next Friday at 7 o'clock, we're going in, and that's going to be the first thing that I acknowledge. That was on the presentation anyway. So I'm glad that's a question that is popping up, because we're going to make it very clear next week for certain.
Islam, we're gonna leave that at that. I did want to show you, and I guess you could, the laws on how you can do business, sue, be employed in any name you want to. It's a matter of how you sign. It's not a matter of business. But as far as people, I'm not gonna comment on that. But as far as people, I will say, thinking I need to, like here's the deal. Now that you saw some of this right here, right? Some of the Constitution. You realize that they have to tell you how they have jurisdiction over you, right? Right? So, if you ask the question, well, how do you derive any jurisdiction over me, right? And you assume that it's the birth certificate, right? Well, but if you're asking them, why would you be the one to put the birth certificate on the table? Why not let them do it? Because once they put it on the table, what did they just do? They proved human trafficking. So someone has told people to go through some process of, authenticating this and authenticating the birth certificate. I'm going to go get an authenticated copy. The key word is copy, so therefore it's not authenticated. It's not the you understand? And not only that, you can rip it up. You can never rip up the original because they have it. So yes. So just see for what it is. An instrument that proves human trafficking. It is not you. And whenever any matters come up involving you with that nom de guerre, because people say strong name, my government name, now you'll never say government name again. All right, I trust. And the nom de guerre fits. Nom de guerre means a fictitious name, a war name, or a name assumed for a tie. Pick any one of those. It fits. So whenever you see it come up, you X-rail it. Because you do have information regarding, you're not running from it. Right? And this is what was meant when the prophet said, don't throw your old name away. Because you know it doesn't make sense for people to think, well, he said keep using your old name. When he just said don't do any new business in your new name. In your old name. So he didn't say that. That's the lawful position he was talking about. X-rail. I have information. I think that I know that I am done. I was looking for the thing that I have to look in here. But if I could, I would find it real quick. I thought it was on the side here. I don't have time to look through it at the same time. But they used the Panther for the sign for where we would go to vote because, we were coming out of Reconstruction era and we didn't know. They had the donkey for the Democrats. They had the elephant for the Republicans, and they had the Black Panther for the Negroes at that time to know where to go and how to vote. So it's not new concept. All right? Any other questions? I am then done and, oh yes.
I have a question pertaining to how I can find you near the New York territory.
We're in New York twice a month. Second Wednesday, third Wednesday of the month. At 6:30 doors open, 7:30 class. On the second Wednesday, typically, myself and Anna Eat are there. One of us or both, usually both. At 125th and 5th at the National Theater. On the third Thursday, Abdullah, you've met him, right? The Edamon.
Third Wednesday.
Third Wednesday, he is there. Are you from that area? Yeah. Oh, well, you've got to come on the second and third Wednesday then. Is that why you're asking?
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll see you there, second and third. And the classes are they're broadcast live out on our MHH broadcast. But we used to be there every Wednesday. Now it's just the second and third. All right? We look forward to seeing you. Yeah.
I found something.
Teaching about this. Any other questions?
I found something with a panther.
Oh, you found something with a panther one that has to do with history about how
Freedom Organization, a vote for the Lowndes County Freedom Organization, and it looks like it's way back in the day.
That's it then. That's the information that I'm talking about. A cord just fell out. I hope it's nothing important.
It's nothing.
Oh. So
I don't know if I can put it in.
You're going to put it up there?
I'm trying. I'm trying. Let me see if I can get it up here. I don't know how to get it up here.
Did you put this up there? No. This one?
I need somebody to come home.
Good enough. All right. Is that done? I'm done. Thank you very much for
Let's
having
see.
me here. Oh, you're showing it. Thank you
Okay.
very much. I'll give myself a hand.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Oh, it was over already?
Thanks. Okay.
I know, I'm serious. Albions, I'm telling you, they be going crazy. There be two people in the room. Us, we be like...
I just want to say, we have a really full weekend this weekend at the House of Reawakening Minds. And so I just want to let everybody, those who don't know, tomorrow at 6 p.m. we have Dr. Hannibal Bey who will be here doing the Adept class, the mysticism class. It will not be live streamed, so you have to be here. It's at 6 p.m. And then on Sunday at 3 p.m. we have our Awakening Dialogue with Patsy P.J. Cannon. She's born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. She's got a lot of accolades. She does a lot of things. She is a spiritual life coach. She's a vegan, a raw vegan chef. She's an author. She's an energy healer. She will be here at 3 p.m. along with two sisters who are going to who have some products for yoni health for the sisters. So we want everybody to come out tomorrow 6 p.m. and Sunday 3 p.m. And we'd like to thank our dear sister Rahsmariah V Bey. She's for always bringing it. Come on, look at these always bringing it. Make sure if you don't, I know you don't have every book over there, so every time she comes, you should get some of this, get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 books. So you might want to go over there before they pack up and get some books. And thank you, Facebook Live viewers, for hanging with us. Islam.
Islam.